The film begins by introducing a man named Celia, a cheerful young man who works part-time at a local restaurant. As the eldest son of a German Sinhalese family, he believes happiness is not a destination, but the journey itself. With a talent for the culinary arts, he often delights his family by recreating restaurant dishes. His life, however, takes a drastic turn when his eyesight begins to deteriorate. Concerned, his parents take him to the doctor, who explains that the loss is caused by a rare genetic disease. Urgent surgery preserves only about 5% of his vision. Celia refuses to let this crush his dreams. He envisions a career in hotel management and, with his mother's help, continues school despite his father's doubts. Having lost 95% of his sight, he sharpens his hearing and studies through sound, earning scores high enough to apply for prestigious internships. Yet rejection after rejection follows, until he secures an interview at a renowned hotel chain, while hiding his condition. With help from his mother and sister Sheila, Celia prepares for the interview in Munich. Charismatic and intelligent, he impresses the panel and is accepted as an apprentice. Now he must learn to navigate the hotel while concealing his disability. He even practices the route on foot, counting his steps. Sheila moves with him to support until he's independent. On his first day, Celia meets the director, senior staff, and fellow apprentices including Max, who soon discovers his secret. Instead of exposing him, Max offers help, and they quickly become friends. After completing housekeeping, Celia moves to the kitchen. There, he bonds with Hamid, a former doctor from Kabul. Though hiding his blindness is tough, Celia memorizes the hotel and often improvises clever tricks. One day, he hears a captivating voice, Laura, the produce delivery girl. While trying to approach her, Chef Krohn assigns him to slice ham, leading to an injury. Suspecting the truth, Krohn tests him, and when Celia is exposed, he confesses. Rather than fire him, Krohn teaches him safe kitchen techniques. Meanwhile, Celia falls for Laura, though she has a boyfriend. To distract him, Max takes him to a nightclub where Celia, after some persuasion, goes home with another girl. After his kitchen duties, he rotates to the front desk, then the restaurant, his hardest task yet. Preparing cocktails with precision, he struggles until finally crafting a perfect Long Island iced tea, impressing Kleinschmidt, the strict restaurant manager. His challenges grow at the bar, where he struggles polishing wine glasses until he learns to judge them by sound. His personal life brightens when Laura breaks up with her boyfriend. They dine together, and Laura introduces her son, Oscar. Celia and Oscar bond instantly, and Laura, touched, kisses him. Then disaster strikes. Celia's father flees to Sri Lanka with the family's savings, leaving his mother helpless. Celia takes extra jobs to support her, eventually turning to drugs. Kleinschmidt warns him, one more mistake, and he's fired. One day, Laura asks him to watch Oscar. At the same time, Max calls, urging him to work or risk dismissal. Amid the chaos, Oscar falls from the monkey bars. Distracted and panicked, Celia loses track of him. When Laura returns, frantic, she pleads for help. Celia freezes, then finally breaks down in tears, admitting he cannot see. Shocked, Laura focuses on finding her son, leaving Celia standing alone. Finding Oscar on the other side of the park, Laura angrily asked Celia what he meant. He then told her about the retinal detachment he suffered from. Laura was furious that Celia had agreed to watch over Oscar without telling her the truth. She took Oscar home, not giving Celia the slightest chance to explain. Laura's disappointment was clear in her tone. Meanwhile, Celia just stood frozen, his heart shattered by what had just happened. He realized that he might have just lost one of the best relationships of his life, only because he wasn't honest and was too afraid to tell Laura the truth from the start. While reflecting on his mistake, Celia received another call from Max, who asked him to return to the hotel immediately or risk being fired. Celia quickly pulled himself together and managed to arrive at the hotel just in time for his shift. He was asked to carry a tray of champagne glasses to a table. Exhausted and stressed by everything happening, his disability, his father abandoning the family without money, his career, the breakup with Laura, his second job, and the pressure of always hiding his condition, Celia felt completely overwhelmed. On top of that, his drug cravings added even more weight. He tripped over a tablecloth and dropped all the champagne glasses, drawing negative attention from everyone. He almost slipped on the spilled champagne but managed to steady himself before falling. Max rushed to help him, and together they cleaned up the broken glass. Max advised him to go home because he looked terrible, but Celia refused, fearing that Kleinschmidt would fire him. Max warned him that if he made another mistake, Max wouldn't be able to help him anymore. Ignoring his friend's advice, Celia continued serving champagne at the wedding reception. In his worsening condition, his already limited vision became blurrier, and he ended up crashing into the wedding cake. The accident forced the restaurant manager to intervene. He pulled a distressed Celia off the floor and angrily asked if he was blind. Out of rage and complete exhaustion, Celia finally revealed the whole truth to his colleagues. He admitted that he did indeed suffer from a visual disability. Kleinschmidt was furious and immediately fired him. Celia walked out of the hotel with his body covered in wedding cake and almost got hit by a tram. He eventually made it home, but his condition kept deteriorating. He continued working at the Indian restaurant for a low wage, but all his happiness was gone. Concerned, Hamid asked Celia to stop using drugs. But instead of realizing that many people cared about him, Celia lashed out at Hamid and told him to stay out of his life. Lonely and unhappy, Celia began drinking heavily and partying often. One night he was thrown out of a nightclub for being too drunk. As he tried to make his way home, he was shoved around by people while being completely intoxicated and high on dangerous synthetic drugs. Eventually, he fell down a large staircase and suffered severe injuries. Luckily, a few kind strangers helped him up and brought him to the hospital. When he regained consciousness, he found Sheila by his side. She comforted him as he broke down in tears. Soon after, Max entered the room to greet his friend. Celia apologized to Max for not listening to him when he should have. Max forgave him instantly and even teased Sheila. Sheila then told Celia that their mother had finally found a job, so he no longer needed to worry about the family's finances. She asked him to come home so he could be safe and recover there. Celia was relieved to hear this and realized he could no longer keep living as if he weren't blind. He chose to accept his condition with open arms instead of running from it. Rather than chasing hotels that rejected him, he resolved to find an employer who would accept him for who he truly was. Celia told Sheila and Max that he wanted to stay in Munich to discover his true self. They smiled at his maturity and promised to support whatever made him happy. Later, Celia was offered a job at a call center, a workplace with many blind or visually impaired employees. But he felt it wasn't the right environment for him and turned down the offer. Max then invited him to do something fun, cycling together. Max gave directions on when to turn, when to brake, and so on. It became a joyful experience that strengthened their bond even further. After cycling, they returned to the hotel to meet Kleinschmidt and the hotel director, Fried. Celia apologized to both of them as well as his colleagues for the wedding disaster. At first, Kleinschmidt refused his apology and asked why he had come back. Celia pleaded for a chance to take the final exam. He admitted honestly that he should have told the truth from the beginning, but the rejections and ridicule he faced because of his disability had driven him to lie. Speaking with complete sincerity and courage, he poured out his heart, impressing everyone. To his surprise, he was granted the opportunity to take the exam. While preparing, he faced many difficulties, especially with the task of setting a table in under 30 minutes. One day, while helping Hamid with paperwork, he ran into Laura again. She complimented him on his honest speech earlier and wished him luck for the exam. Seizing the moment, Celia told her that he missed her deeply. Laura didn't reply, but her blushing face said enough. The exam day finally arrived. Celia gave his best effort. He did well in almost every area, but struggled with the table setting task. In the last seconds, he tripped and failed to complete the table properly. Despite his messy table, he was still awarded his diploma thanks to his high scores in other subjects. At the graduation ceremony, Celia was deeply touched to see both Kleinschmidt and Fried proud of him. Kleinschmidt praised his knowledge of wines and offered him a position as a sommelier in the restaurant. However, Celia turned down the offer, surprising Kleinschmidt. When asked why, Celia explained that he and Max had their own project. Kleinschmidt wished him the best of luck. Believing that to go far one must have good company, Celia felt fortunate to have Max by his side. Together, they opened a restaurant in downtown Munich. On opening night, friends and family gathered to support them. Among the special guests was Laura. She offered to help with the restaurant, and just hearing her voice brought immense joy to Celia. Laura also confessed that she still loved him, making it the happiest moment of his life. After the event, the circle of friends celebrated and danced together. Laura asked Celia to dance, but he hesitated, afraid of falling. Laura reassured him, promising that she would always be his eyes whenever he needed her. And with that, the story ends here.